Whoa. Here's what we're gonna need today. A little bit of craft paint, black and white, some Vallejo for the base, some citadels for the effects, and pick some brushes you like. I like 024, and you know, something for dry brushing. And this is what we're gonna be making today, a Fortress of Battle. I think we all know what this is, so big Daka Daka tank. And first off, I just base the entire thing in that craft black, thinned down to about half and half. I like it a little runny so you can get in the crevices. But, you know, preference. I don't really use the spray cans or my airbrush for this, just because I need to get in them deep depths. And so I find a watery paint that covers really well is the best way to do this. Next step, we'll be hopping over to the lead belcher just to give this a nice dry brush. I kind of do like a wet dry brush where I don't completely clean it off with a paper towel. Just because I like to get it a little messier, streakier, make it look a little more worn, more well scratched, I suppose. But yeah, we're just getting all that coverage on there, making sure we don't miss anything. Even this lead belcher, I kind of mix up with water a little bit to make it a little thin, just so it gives it more streaky, scratchy look. And here's the whole thing dry brushed. I figured I'd just show you the top, just so we can get on with it. And now all the Gretchen, and there are a lot of these. First, we're just gonna go with a base color of Vallejo Goblin Green. I tend to like Vallejo for base colors just because they cover a little bit better. One coat, even though they look and they feel a little bit thinner when you use them, they cover so well. And then we're just gonna do probably like 3 levels of paint on this. Gonna mix a little bit of yellow into there. It's not a very deep yellow, it's kind of like a lighter canary yellow. And we're gonna put a second layer of highlights once these bases are done. And then just we're gonna mix some more yellow in there one more time, and then just give some tips and give them little highlights. All these guys are gonna be covered with a Gnome oil wash later on anyway, so after we do that, we'll just come back and reestablish some of them brighter colors, just to make sure you can see them really good on the tabletop. Like every good orc knows, the more Gretchen you put on the front of your vehicle, the less damage your vehicle takes when you slam it into something hard. That's just science. White is next. The way I think of slopping on this white is how would a Gretchen do it? How would a stupid little baby with a broom handle paint this tank using a bit of wood and using its face? So, big sloppy coats, rough edges, just trying to get the big parts down, and keep it loosey-goosey. Now, this is going to be a Goff paint job, and I love Goffs aesthetically, rule-wise. Most people are probably like me and they play Death Skulls, but looks-wise, I love the black and white checkerboards. I love having a simple palette of paint that you can build off of and put focal points onto, either with small stories or with colors. Okay, now we're going back and we're getting all them browns on all the little goblin vests and little leather skirts and what have you that they got. There's a few little rifle butts here and there, and a few pieces of straps of leather on the top. But other than that, not much brown. And this is just a beige and an ochre being alternated between the different models. And now that Nuln Oil wash. You'd have to be insane to buy Nuln Oil and use it on a project like this. So what I recommend is making some, and Midwinter Minis has a great tutorial on it. I use the same Nuln Oil wash. My only difference is I leave a little bit of the soap out, so I get more of those coffee stain edges. When you're doing an orc project, dirty is gold, so I like them coffee stains on the edge, so I tend to leave a little bit of the fluid that thins it out and a little bit of that a little bit of that soap out of it. But that's the only difference. I like the coffee stains. Okay, now we're going back in and painting a couple little white spots that I forgot and reinforcing some colors. You know, I want a couple of them white spots to be nice and clean, like maybe they've been slopped on a new coat, you know, within the last few days. Now going in and painting all the rivets. Usually I like to alternate between like silver and brass, but on this one I just did nothing but brass. Just because there's so much black and white on this piece already, it's going to stand out really good compared to all the other pieces. So instead of detailing with two different colors and silver kind of getting left in the background, I'm just going to use brass, just because it's all going to stand out really good against that black and white. And yeah, there's a lot of rivets. Still going. One more side. But I know a lot of people maybe don't like to put all the details in or paint every little piece, but I'm the type of person that I know it looks impressive when people see it on the tabletop, so I just don't mind doing it. Okay, and now to make it a real Goff piece, all the checkerboard. I just like to draw them out with a pencil and then take them in with like preferred black crafting. If you want to stand them out a little bit more, you can use a gloss paint, and then they'll stand against the matte finish of everything else. But, you know, I just kind of like to show that they're a part of the tank and they've been there for a long time. So I'm just going to do the same matte black paint that I've been using for the rest of this thing. And I'm just going to start filling squares. Only fill in the tips that touch each other. Although, time consuming. This is one of those things that it just looks good. It looks impressive. Up close, far away, you see all the little checkerboards, and it just makes people think like, oh my god, why would you go through that much trouble? Yeah, because it looks good. And other than any other reason, this is the reason right here to paint Goffs. It's pretty, and man, just all the little details from the checkerboards and the black and the white, they look good together. Okay, here's the start of the heat effect. I'm going to paint white around all the edge of the barrels, because later on I'm going to put a contrast coat of paint over them to make it look like an energy effect. And anywhere else I want heat to be implied. I'm also going to paint over all the lenses for all the guns. These guns have like little robotic lens cameras that stick out of the front, so we're going to do the same thing with a light effect, and later on we're going to cover it in the contrast paint for the Necrons. and give it a beautiful tesseract green glow. So, this step is really just the setup for this step. We're applying Tesseract Green and getting a glowing lighting effect out of the things it lights. And then we're using the contrast yellow, I forget what it's called, to do heat effect. And we're going to take that over all the edges of the barrels that we want looking hot, and it's going to give us this almost yellow to a medium orange blend of color all by itself. And if you take it into the black a little bit, you get a little bit darker orange. And just by doing these two colors, the white and the orange laid on top of each other, you get this beautiful simple heat effect. And the Gretchen that's welding on the back of the fuel barrel, he's going to get the same thing to make it look like heat and energy being applied to his weld. And it's a really simple two-step process that you get more mileage out of your money. It would be a chore to do all these heat effects any other way. Now we're just going to put some red on it. Need some red on the fuel barrels to show that they're full of flammable liquid and it is not a target that you should be shooting, but obviously it turns out you should. And the flags. The flags don't need to be red since it's Goff, but it's just a good color that lends itself to this palette, so I'm gonna go with it. There she is. We're getting there. Now, I recommend Blood for the Blood God for this effect, but all I had was some Blood Angels red, so we're just gonna put that on for now. But when I get some more, be guaranteed that I'm gonna lay on some nice, beautiful, viscous red paint back on this thing, just to show the blood and the implied in the tracks and in the snowplow and stuff. Yeah, if you get Blood for the Blood God, I highly recommend it. Nothing quite replaces it. And now we're finishing off those heat effects. Put a little yellow and white where needed, just to show the hottest points. Oh, and look at that. Welding on a fuel barrel. Little stories and jokes like these are a great addition to any Ork piece that you make. They do more to sell the unit than really any paint job or any cool effect you could put on it. Because when somebody sees a funny story, that's what they remember. The same thing with storytelling. You put a good joke in, it's a hook. It's things for people to recall and call back on your piece. Looking good. And now for the rear flags. They are Goffs, so I want that traditional Thraka, Makari, cow skull. And luckily for me, it's a pretty simple symbol. 2 coats of Leho Cold White, and take your time and you'll be there. And then just make sure it looks clean to your standard and good to go. I love to apply scratches and details and marks and tinks and nicks and using a pen, because you get a consistent, solid straight line as long as your ink flow's good and you're not going to be rubbing the thing. Usually I put like a nice matte varnish on most things that I do. It's not going to rub off, or it's not going to really go anywhere. So if you ever need something that's going to require a lot of detail that you don't know if you can do with a brush, try to do it with a gel pen. Just note, varnish is going to keep it on there for a long time. If you do play with it a lot and stuff, it will rub off. And now we're just doing edge highlightings back with the white and catching them long straight lines all over the place that, I can't do with a pen. Now this little guy, he is one of those things when you're done with a project and you're finishing up and you're like, man, I really should have put this little guy right here, because I was looking through my bits bin and found him, and he's holding like a monstrous artillery round, and he's a good joke character. So we're gonna go back a step and take the energy effect off the front of my barrel, paint this guy up nice and black so he looks like he lives inside the barrel, and we're gonna shove him in there. Yeah, so I just felt that he needed to live there, and so we're just going back a step. We're going to paint the entire edge black again. Make it look ugly and dirty instead of like it just fired, because why would he crawl in there if it's lava hot? Yeah, an orc could make him, but not for this one. So, nice and black. Get those details back in there, and then once everything looks good, we're gonna just put some of that goblin green and kind of make some highlights for him. Not really clean, but he's a dirty boy. And there we go. I think he looks good. Another beauty shot showing him off, the energy effects. You can see the blood on the front, but yeah, I want to come back with that better blood for the blood god. Now this is just some muddy terrain put on the bottom because the map that I play on is Hagland and it kind of matches the look of this. I've made this one because I was running out of this terrain paint. This is just sand, ochre, and a little bit of floating agent, kind of thickening it up a little bit. But other than that, man, it matches it really well. The texture's there. You can see and feel the sand. So there you go. If you got to make your own, you can do it. Nice and messy. But she's looking good. We're almost there. So, some beauty shots showing it with some 32mm orcs, and here we are done. Yeah, I really enjoyed this project. It took maybe a month or two to compile all the pieces, print them out, put it together, but really it was a 3-day project. The paint wasn't too bad, and especially the way that I paint this, you could do an army in no time if you needed to. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. I will be doing more orc, and I want to get into some lizard folk, Saurian, maybe Age of Sigmar characters next. Please like and subscribe on my newer channel so I can really use the support, and come back. I'm gonna have a lot of weird videos. It's gonna get weird in here.